So remember on election night, battleground states like Pennsylvania said they were stopping counting ballots for the night when President Trump was well ahead. Then all of a sudden they started getting ballot dumps late at night that were heavily in Biden's favor, with some batches at 100% for Biden. Is that even statistically possible?
Well, look, it's possible, but it's questionable. Yes, we have jurisdictions where many of the precincts are very much controlled by one party or the other. But to have that many votes coming in without a single vote for another candidate is very unusual.
In the states that are having problems getting their acts together, such as Pennsylvania and Nevada for that matter, a lot of these are states where over the past few months we've seen Democrats lead the charge in the court in order to expand mail-in voting and other such issues like that. Do you think that's kind of suspicious now, looking back and seeing how this election process is playing out?
Yeah, because what they were doing was trying to get rid of all the security protocols that are in place for absentee ballots. And I have to wonder, look, I have no proof or confirmation this occurred, but I have to wonder whether, particularly in places like Detroit and Philadelphia, where they barred observers from being able to see what they were doing with the absentee ballots, I'm wondering whether they simply waived and didn't bother to check and follow state law to verify that these were valid votes from valid voters, but simply opened up the envelopes and counted the ballots without doing any kind of verification. I mean, that would be the wrong thing to do, obviously illegal, but we don't know because there weren't any observers there.
When it comes to observers, we hear a lot from the Trump campaign. For example, they say count the legal ballots, not the illegal ones. How would, for example, for our viewers at home, how would an observer be able to tell the difference in the room while the ballots are being counted?
Well, they could only tell the difference if they're close enough, the same distance from the ballots that are themselves. And again, it was improper for election officials to keep the observers so far away they couldn't see that. They'd have to be close enough to see, for example, that the signature of the voter is actually being checked and compared to the signature of the voter on file. If they couldn't see that, then they can't verify that it was a proper ballot.
And we're hearing from Rudy Giuliani that when it comes to the state of Pennsylvania, for example, that he may have enough evidence to be able to overturn enough suspect, questionable ballots to flip the state back into President Trump's favor. Do you still see a path to victory for the president?
Well, what I would say is that it really depends entirely on how substantial the evidence is that Rudy Giuliani and others can submit. What I will say is they have a very tough uphill legal battle because it's very difficult in such a short amount of time to gather enough evidence to show that the outcome of the election was compromised.
And we are coming down to the wire here. So we see the Trump campaign, it does have several lawsuits in multiple states. What should they really be focusing on the most with these legal challenges?
Well, they need to be focused on finding votes that were counted from voters that were invalid. I would be looking, for example, if there were votes from individuals who, when you check the records, it shows that they're actually deceased, or if you check the records and you find out that they are actually registered in two different states and they voted in two different states, those are all obviously illegal ballots.
And how long does the Trump campaign have to play out this legal battle? We know Al Gore back in 2000 took about 37 days. How long does the Trump campaign have now?
They don't have very long because, remember, the Electoral College will meet in the first part of December, and the states have to certify their election results by that date so that they know which set of electors will be able to cast their ballots at the state houses. So they really have really less than a month to try to get this resolved.
And a lot of Trump voters right now are feeling disenfranchised. A lot of them are saying, where's the DOJ? Where's the AG Bill Barr? Do you think there's any role for him right now, or is there not a role for him?
Well, I think what the Department of Justice ought to be doing is talking to its observers to see what they saw. The Justice Department announced prior to the election that they were going to have observers in various locations around the country. I have not yet seen any kind of report from DOJ on what they saw and observed and whether any of that's relevant to the questions being raised in places like Pennsylvania.
So many questions. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Hans, and answering a lot of those for us. Thank you so much.